Good day, viewers. You're welcome to another episode of our program, Let's Talk About Infertility Openly. Today we'll be talking about a very sensitive aspect of fertility treatment. What do I do when an IVF treatment fails? What do I do when an IVF treatment fails? It's a very sobering thought, but it's something we have to deal with every day. And I tell myself and I tell my teammates, this is one of the most difficult aspects of our job. But it's something we have to deal with. Because let me tell you that an IVF failing does not mean it cannot work. It just means we have to look at it critically and identify why it failed so that we can know the way forward. When an IVF treatment fails, it's emotionally disturbing, financially it's disappointing, and generally it is extremely frustrating. But when that happens, what should you do as a client? Number one, give yourself some time to get over the trauma. Book an appointment with a specialist. Lastly, and very importantly, you need to make up your mind. Do I still want to continue with this doctor? Do I still want to continue accessing services from this center? These important things should be considered before you take a decision. Now, when an IVF treatment fails, there are three major things I want to look at as doctors. The first important thing is the embryo may not be competent. The embryo may not be competent. A human being has 23 chromosomes in his body. An embryo has 23 chromosomes in it. If for some reason an embryo doesn't have up to 23 chromosomes, or it has more than 23 chromosomes, or some of the chromosomes are abnormal, that embryo cannot implant. If it implants, it will lead to miscarriage. And that's also an emotionally wrenching aspect of our treatment. So an incompetent embryo is the first thing. The other thing that can cause this is what is called implantation dysfunction. Now, after you transfer embryos in the womb, it's not just enough for it to be in the womb. It needs to germinate in that womb. It needs to connect and germinate and continue to grow. But at times an embryo does not germinate or implant. And when this happens, the IVF does not succeed. And I want us to look at why an embryo may not implant. The commonest reason is that the endometrium, that is the lining of the womb, may be too thin. And so if I've had a previous fibroid surgery, if I've had a previous C-section, if I've had a previous D&C or termination of pregnancy, all of this can predispose to the thin, excessively thin lining of the womb. So this may be an issue for implantation failure to happen. Then the other thing is poor blood supply to the lining of the womb. If the blood supply to the lining of the womb is not as good as if the blood supply to the lining of the womb is reduced, then implantation will be an issue. Another problem that can be an issue is the lining of the womb. Maybe there are abnormalities there. Maybe there's a polyp there. Maybe there's a fibroid there. Maybe there's a collection there. Usually with the hysteroscopy, we can find this out and this can be addressed. Another thing that may affect implantation of embryo is the immune system. Everybody has an immune system. This is defense mechanism of the body. So if my body is exposed to malaria, my immune system will fight it. If it's exposed to the flu, my immune system will fight it. But at times, my immune system recognizes an embryo as being foreign and then fights it. Another important thing that can affect conception after following IVF is embryo transfer procedure. After 4 weeks of the IVF process, stimulation, egg collection, all of that, the most important aspect is the embryo transfer. It takes about 5 minutes. If for some reason something goes wrong during that process, then the whole treatment is likely to fail. So these things are very important in the outcome of any IVF treatment. The competency of the embryo is talking about number of chromosomes in it, the implantation abnormalities, embryo transfer procedures. Every cause of IVF failure, it falls down to these three basic things. I hope you've learned something from our program this evening. I remain your host, Oluwabukumi Kolade, lead gynecologist, Vibrant Fertility Center in Ibadan.